Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, episode number 239, presented by Marshall Communications, creator of the Marshall Plan 65-Step Creative Process. For those of you new to the show, I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. And with me, I'm very excited, is a friend from Heroic Public Speaking, Dale Bertrand, who's founder and president of Fire and Spark. Welcome, Dale, to the PR Maven Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad we finally got to have this conversation.
Yeah, me too. We just completed a 7-month program at Heroic Public Speaking, and we'll talk a little more about that. But we've been through a lot together, and we never really got to talk while we were at the Heroic Public Speaking headquarters about your business. So we'll have a good opportunity today. So Dale has been an SEO specialist and an AI consultant to Fortune 500 companies and venture-backed startups around the world for 2 decades. His clients, they're very impressive. They include global brands such as Citizen Watch, Nestle, Raymond Weil or Whale?
Raymond Weil.
Raymond Weil, ExxonMobil, and Boulevard. He applies his graduate school work in artificial intelligence to search engine marketing and speaks at marketing industry conferences. So Dale, tell me about your career and how you got into it in the first place.
Well, for me, going all the way back, I was into software in high school, and I studied computer engineering undergrad in college. So I was very interested in technology and working on the web, and building websites is what I really started out doing back in the day. But then I switched over in 2008 to marketing only, and started my agency. So back then I was getting a ton of requests to do SEO, and that's how I ended up landing on SEO and building an SEO agency.
Yeah, and your agency is based in Boston?
Yes, we're in Boston right now. I'm on the 18th floor, so overlooking Boston.
Oh, wow. I bet you have a great view.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we met at Heroic Public Speaking, and tell me about your speech and where you plan to present it.
Yeah, so I've been speaking about AI, and I studied AI in grad school. So this was all the way back in 2001. And the algorithms that we were working on are totally different from what people are excited about today. People today are excited about machine learning based on deep learning algorithms, and then also, based on neural networks, and then also the generative AI algorithms. So I've followed it since then, all the recent developments. So I'll be speaking about AI, and really my sweet spot is the intersection between AI and content marketing and SEO, the type of SEO that our agency does. So that's what I'll be speaking on.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up content marketing, because I've been going to a conference in Ohio for several years called about content marketing, basically. And it's a topic that really intrigues me, because as a PR person, I've always depended on the media to create content for my clients. It's like you pitch stories to the media and then hope that they tell stories either on television, radio, newspapers, or magazines. But now we can create our own content, and it is so good for SEO, right? I mean, if you have content that is rich with keywords, tell me. I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, and I think the conference you're talking about is Content Marketing World, because I'm speaking there this year. So they moved it to DC. If I end up seeing you down there.
Oh, when is it going to be?
I don't know. I think it's sometime in the fall. September makes sense to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have gone to that before the pandemic, and I loved that. And it really lit me up.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying about content. I actually didn't realize that you would have a different perspective on content than I would, because in the SEO world and the content marketing world, we're creating content and we're really focused on creating the right content. So content that speaks to your target audience, content that will get ranked by Google, attract natural backlinks so that it's building authority with Google so it'll rank better, and then content that will persuade and convert visitors into customers and buyers. So we've always been focused on content, and your angle is different and intriguing to me because you're focused on pitching publishers that already have a wide audience and getting them to write about your remarkable clients.
Right, exactly. Well, because I started my career in the 80s, Dale. And so back in the 80s, we didn't have a commercial internet. So at that time, I was relying totally on pitching the media, whether, in the 80s, I was working in the ski industry. So I was trying to get my ski resort, Sugarloaf, onto anything from the Weather Channel or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or Ski Magazine. So, but then once the internet became a thing, thankfully I was working for a guy named Chip Carey, and he said, you really got to stay on top of this technology because there's going to be so much that we can do for PR. And it is quite amazing. So my agency still does the pitching to the news media. Because as you said, we want to get their audiences, because if you get something in the New York Times, they obviously have a large audience. But also with content marketing, you can build your own audience.
Yeah. So basically, you'll have an owned audience at the end of the day in the form of potential customers are coming to visit your website, or it could be an email marketing audience. Or it could be other types of events or YouTube channel or whatever it is. We are primarily looking at building content for Google because we're an SEO agency at the end of the day. And Google is a text-based search engine. So primarily the content that we're creating is written content. And that started with blog articles back in the day, but there are better content formats nowadays for attracting traffic and converting that traffic into sales and revenue so that it actually has business impact beyond just creating content that ranks for keywords and drives traffic that may not convert at the end of the day. Like it's got to convert. It's got to be high intent traffic in order to be valuable.
So just explain that. I mean, convert means different things to different businesses. So how do you define convert? What's a conversion?
It's exactly what you're saying. It's different for different businesses. So you might be running an e-commerce site where you're trying to get people to hit that buy button and fill up their basket. Or it might be a B2B site where you're looking for qualified sales leads, like coming in through your website. Or it could be a consumer-facing healthcare company where you're looking to get people to call to enroll for a treatment or a particular type of treatment. So those are the conversions that businesses care about. And it's those conversions at the end of the day that matter for SEO, whether you're generating those rather than just rankings. Because I work in an industry, the SEO industry, where a lot of SEO agencies are talking about rankings and traffic. They can get you to rank for some keyword you're excited about, and they can get people to come to your website. But that doesn't matter if it's not the right people. It doesn't matter if it's not the right high intent keywords. And when we say high intent, We mean people that are expressing intent and buying what you have. If I sell diapers and there's someone going to Google typing in, diaper size medium, then they have demonstrated the intent to buy diapers, and those are the people that I want to get in front of. So it's very important that you're selectively targeting the search traffic that you're going after. And there's a lot of mechanisms to do that, but that's SEO 101. And most of the SEO agencies out there are focused on generating rankings that they can brag about and traffic they can brag about, but clients quickly learn or quickly figure out many months into the retainer that the traffic isn't actually converting.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, I also want to go back to something you said before about written content versus something like this, audio content or video content. Are you saying that this content that I'm creating on the PR Maven podcast doesn't do anything for SEO?
I wouldn't say it doesn't do anything. Like, you can do things like transcribe it, but Google's hip to that in terms of just like, hey, put in a transcript, because people don't, it's not really that helpful to ask people to wade through a transcript. So those transcripts don't rank super well, but it can help. And then also anything you can put on your website that improves engagement with your website, especially video. Like, you'll see a lot of articles online that have a video above the fold. And that's to prevent people from bouncing and basically show Google the engagement metrics that it wants to see. It wants to see like low bounce rate, and Google wants to see people spending time on your site and not like just bouncing back to Google and clicking on a different result. So other forms of content can definitely help, but I don't want to forget the fact that Google's a text-based search engine at the end of the day in its current incarnation.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting because, I guess I was hoping that this podcast was helping with my search engine rankings, but I guess it does to a certain extent. But
yeah,
as you said,
if people are linking to it, mentioning it, like building a community around your brand, regardless of how you do it, is going to help you with SEO in a lot of different indirect ways. So definitely, I would expect a successful podcast to help out in a number of different ways. But when we're talking about like direct SEO, like we want to rank for the right traffic and get that traffic to land on a piece of content and convert, that's written content supported by other types of content occasionally, because that can definitely help. But we're not talking about like YouTube or YouTube search engine or something like that.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And now Google has recently shifted to AI. And how has that changed the SEO game? That's been a pretty big shift, right?
Yes, and that's a huge topic. The truth is we don't know how that's going to shake out. But Google's using AI for its algorithm, so determining, like understanding people's queries, and then also understanding all of the content that's written on the web, so it can figure out what results to show. So that's the first way Google's using AI. And then also Google is going to start using AI for generative search results. So to give you the answer to complex queries or product queries or informational queries. So very similar to like ChatGPT. So there will be those generative AI results that appear at the top of the search results. So that's new, and we're going to start seeing more and more of that, and that's going to affect search. And then the third way that AI is affecting search is that we as content marketers can use AI to produce our content. Now, before any writers out there, drive over to my office and slap me across the face, we're not talking about generating long form content with AI because it's just not ready for that. Especially since content needs to be helpful and expertise driven, and thought leadership content is most useful, or really drives the most traffic and search rankings. So we're not going to be able to generate thought leadership with AI, but AI is still going to help us to be more productive when we're writing our content with research and brainstorming, and then also summarizing content we've already written and AI can compare pieces of content and give us ideas in terms of gaps in the content that we've written. So there's a lot of opportunities to use AI when it comes to creating long form content. But then we have short form content, which AI is more helpful with, and that's things like social media posts, meta titles, meta descriptions for SEO and things like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And of course, there are PR people who are saying, well, that Chat GPT is going to be replacing us. But I don't think so. I think having a human being at the helm is still going to be important, right?
Well, what matters more is whether the journalists keep their jobs, because like you, Nancy, you're valuable. You have because you have relationships with journalists, and you're not going to replace that with some AI who goes back 30 years with a publication or a journalist, and that's like super, super valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're there in Boston, and even in my 20s, I would go down to Boston, and I'd go to the Boston Globe, I'd go to the Boston Herald, I'd go to the different TV stations. And at one point, I was doing the PR for Hinckley Yachts, and they developed this super luxury jet boat, and we actually brought journalists out on Boston Harbor in one of these jet boats and had a cocktail party. That was like one of the highlights of my career.
Sounds like fun.
It was. So tell me, Dale, what is wrong with doing SEO for rankings? We touched on that already.
Yeah, that's something that I've been talking about for a while, but SEO is synonymous with rankings. And if you look it up in Google, you'll find the definition of SEO is basically like getting your content to rank well in Google. And that's all well and good, but that just doesn't necessarily deliver the business impact that our clients are looking for as an SEO agency, or any business is looking for when they're launching an SEO campaign. The business impact is more along the lines of the business impact is really coming from generating revenue, generating sales, or signing up new customers, whatever it is that your business is looking for. So we really need to start thinking of SEO along the lines of like conversion. So what conversion are we looking for, and how are we generating high intent traffic that is well suited and already looking for the product or service that we sell, and get them to come to our website, persuade them to do business with us, and get them to convert. And so that's a different goal than just getting my content to rank. And when you have this different goal of conversion rather than just rankings, SEO strategy is actually different. Like SEO strategy changes. It's not about writing blog articles. It's not about doing keyword research. It's really about how well do you understand your customers. So you're doing customer research instead of keyword research. You're no longer hiding behind keyword tools and keyword data to understand what your customers are looking for. And the power of that is it allows you, or it makes it easier for you to write the content that your customers are looking for when they're making a buying decision, and Google's AI will find it. And that's different from hiding behind a keyword database and learning about your customers by looking at the keywords and then targeting the keywords, getting some rankings, but then the traffic doesn't convert at the end of the day.
So are you talking about creating customer personas so you can really understand the psychographics of the targeted audience?
Yes, this is Marketing 101. And for the longest time, SEO and Marketing 101 were like two different disciplines. As you know, SEO and PR have been converging for a while because it's important to demonstrate to Google that you have relationships, external relationships that endorse your brand and your content and what you do. On the marketing side, SEO and marketing have been converging in the sense that you've got to do traditional customer research to understand your customers' pain points, their worldviews, their preferences, why they would make this buying decision or make a decision to do business with you in the first place, so that you can get that information online. And when you get that information online and publish it on your website, it might be articles, but it might not be. It might be Q&A style content. We're doing really well with comparison content, or it could be database templated driven content, which scales really well for a lot of brands and websites, depending on how you do it. I did one for cars.com a while back where we were generating pages that compared different car models, but also they talked about what types of trucks and SUVs were popular in different areas. Because of the weather conditions in those different areas. And that's an example where we weren't writing blog articles for SEO. We were generating those pages based on data that we had in a database, and then also writing 1 or 2 paragraphs of copy for each of those pages, but it worked great. And it's a better approach for a lot of brands than blogging. Like right now, SEO is synonymous with we're doing this to get rankings, and we're writing blog articles, and we're doing all of our customer research in a keyword tool, in a keyword database. And those are just not the right way to do SEO nowadays with Google's AI search engine, and especially when the goal isn't rankings, the goal is new customers.
Wow, that's turning a lot of things on its head over what I've known for a long time for SEO. So thanks for sharing that. It's really significant.
Yeah, well, businesses have been disappointed for a long time. So businesses have been disappointed for a long time working with SEO agencies because they don't understand these opaque methods. It's just like, well, maybe they're going to work some magic and get us some new customers, and they have no idea what they're actually doing. And then also when it does work, they're getting rankings and traffic, and it's traffic that doesn't convert into customers. So they're many months into an SEO retainer, and they're asking the question like, well, what did we get out of this? We didn't get ROI. We didn't get return on our investment. Maybe we got some visibility. I don't know. And they get confused and they just cancel the retainer. And what they don't know is that it is possible to craft SEO strategy with the goal of getting real customers, like a tangible business impact, instead of just kind of like rankings and low value traffic. And when you do that, the SEO strategy is different. Like you just end up doing different things. And you need to be doing the right things to go after that high intent traffic that's going to actually convert.
Yeah, love that. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more from Dale, but I want to remind people that they can go to prmaven.com/giveaway, submit your information, and we'll send you one of our things to do pads in the mail. And Dale, you might be getting one in the mail also.
Also, I'll be looking for it.
You put down, I don't know, maybe you don't even use an old-fashioned to-do pad that you write on with a pen.
You would be surprised. We're
going to hear from our friends at Sprague & Curtis Real Estate now. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sprague & Curtis is a locally owned real estate company. We're primarily focused in Central Maine. I got excited about Nancy's book because she's so well known in the area for her marketing and branding techniques, and we're always looking to expand and learn and grow. And so a lot of us here at the office decided that we wanted to read her book and learn some new techniques.
It benefits Sprague & Curtis to have a large brand and audience because there can often be multiple years between transactions with clients. So it's important to network with them and stay in touch with them in those in-between periods. And this book really helped us learn some techniques and methods to continue to do that. We organized a small book group with Nancy's book with brokers in our office this winter to share information and remind ourselves how important it is to always be working on our network and continually reaching out to our customers.
Platforms like social media are important in expanding your business, but equally as important are handwritten notes, cards, letters. She inspired me to send her a note of appreciation, just thanking her for the book and her insight. In reading Nancy's book, I was excited to look to continue to grow our brand and our audience. I think she does a great job of motivating us.
Nancy's book really helped me learn a few things in marketing and branding and how important it is to stay on top of reaching out to clients periodically, staying top of mind, providing useful information, and really telling our story as a company.
Thanks for joining us today. And here we are back with Dale Bertrand from Fire and Spark. And Dale, you are on a crusade to change the SEO industry. So what's broken?
So it's really all has to come back to this fundamental mindset around SEO is all about rankings.
Yeah.
And that mindset leads, like when you're starting to work on an SEO campaign, you might be asking questions like, what are the relevant keywords? What are the most highest volume keywords? And which competitors are ranking for these keywords? And that's old school SEO. Like nowadays, conversion focused SEO campaigns, you want to be asking questions about your customers. So you'd be asking questions like, what are my customers' biggest pain points that they would be looking for information or looking for solutions to those pains? And then what information do they need when they're making a buying decision, when they're making a purchase? And then also what questions do customers ask specifically about our products and our services that we sell? The reason why this is important is because the better you understand your customers, and I call this customer intimacy, the better you know your customers, the easier it's going to be for you to write the type of information that Google's AI is looking for when your customers are typing queries into Google. The important thing is Google knows what they're looking for. And what that means, Google knows the intent behind the searches that your customers are doing. And if you're writing the right type of content, producing the right type of content on your website, Google will find it and you'll get the traffic, you'll get the customers. But it's not about keywords, it's about understanding the customers.
Right. I mean, I've always said Google is like Santa Claus. Google knows everything, like whether you've been naughty or nice or good or bad. So, and they even know when you type in a question, where's the best pizza in Boston? Google knows the intent behind your question, right?
Yeah, because so many people have typed that in already.
Yeah.
Google is training its AI search engine by watching what you click on when you search. So if I type in Obama's dog, I'm going to get information. I'm going to get Obama's Wikipedia page. I'm going to get a page specifically about his dog. I'm going to get a page about his family and his presidency. So I'll click on one of those. And now Google has more information about what I was actually looking for. And It's got billions and billions of those searches every day that it can build up a better understanding of what people mean or the intent behind particular keyword searches. And then the other thing that Google's doing is they have quality raters. These are people, humans, that are looking at websites and grading them. How trustworthy are they? How accurate are they? Would you do business with this website? And they're not grading your website to determine what your rankings are. What these humans are doing is they're building a training data set to train Google's AI, so that Google's AI will do a better job of finding the right answers and trustworthy websites, trustworthy brands, and accurate content. So that's how Google's training its AI. And what it's doing at the end of the day is training its AI to deliver satisfying answers, the right answers that satisfy the real intent behind a keyword, behind a search. So for us as brands who are writing content and we want the right customers to come to our website so that they ultimately convert, it's important for us to understand our customers so that we're writing content for our customers, not the search engines. And so we need to go deep. One thing that we do as an agency is we will interview our clients' customers, which is the first step rather than keyword research. And if we don't have access to our clients' customers, we can talk to the sales team because they understand the questions that customers ask and the information that they're going to need. But that research is more valuable than keyword research when it comes to writing the right content for SEO nowadays.
So you say you interview the client's customers. Do you do telephone surveys or do you have focus groups or how do you interview them?
Phone calls. It's not as fancy as a survey or a focus group. It's really, there's these things. I have one in my pocket. When I was little, I used to have one that was corded, you plugged it into the wall. You would never believe it, Nancy. And I also had one that you spun around the numbers.
Oh, I had that too.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Our kids wouldn't know even what to do with that thing.
Yeah, those were crazy times. But even with the phones we have now, that for some reason they don't have cords anymore. I don't know why. Maybe that's why I don't get good reception. But even with the phones we have now, you can type in somebody's number and just talk to them.
You're
And if
funny.
they're a customer of your business or a brand that you're working with, you'll learn a lot as long as you're asking the right questions.
So do you ask your clients to give you a customer list?
Yes, we ask for either a few customers we could talk to, or we could talk to their sales team, because their sales team has most of this information.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's really good. I know when we do one of our Marshall plans, we create personas or avatars of the targeted audiences, and we kind of write a story about them so that it's not just the demographic information, but also the psychographic information.
Yeah, and what kills me on the SEO side is that a lot of, I would say most people doing SEO, they're targeting a keyword, not a customer.
Right.
And of course, like, they can't target the customer. They don't know anything about the customer. They just know a keyword. I want to rank #1 for the keyword baby diapers, size medium. But and sure, like SEO back in the day when it wasn't hyper competitive, when Google's AI algorithms weren't scary good at giving people exactly what they're looking for, then targeting keywords made sense. But nowadays we need to target customers with the right intents. And
Right.
that translates to keywords at the end of the day. But even the keywords that you're trying to rank for when you're doing SEO are going to have multiple intents behind them. If I type in shoes into Google, what am I searching for? I could be searching for kids' shoes, men's shoes, flip-flops, Crocs. I could be looking for women's high heels. Like, you don't know. So what are you going to show somebody? So if I'm an SEO agency or in-house SEO specialist, and my whole plan is to target the word shoes so I can rank #1 for the word shoes, like, man, that is the wrong strategy in 2023. It's the wrong strategy to rank in Google, to drive the right traffic that's going to convert. And it's the wrong strategy to actually show customers what they're searching for so that they'll buy something at the end of the day when they land on your website.
So what is the most basic advice you can give to our listeners on how they can improve their search rankings?
There's really two sides of it. Like, one side, the most basic advice is whatever content you're writing, whatever form you choose, make sure that you're serving your customers' needs. So if you've identified your ideal customer and you've talked to many people like that and asked a bunch of questions about what's their pain point, what's their needs, why did they buy, why didn't they buy from your competitor, then you'll learn a ton and you can provide that information on your on your website. You'll provide the information that your customers are actually looking for when they're making a buying decision. And remember, I didn't say anything about keywords. I said you're like providing the right information, the information that they're looking for. And then on the other side has to do with authority, which is proving to Google that your content is accurate, it's trustworthy, and Google should rank you highly and not ignore your website. And authority is all about real world relationships at the end of the day. Do your customers come back? Do people come to your website and engage with the website? Do you have PR mentions that Nancy can get you, preferably with backlinks from high authority publications that confer like an endorsement and trust and authority because of how awesome they are. But even like the middle of the road type of organizations, as long as you have relationships and they're relevant in your category, in your industry, that could be things like industry trade groups that are writing about you or events that are writing about you that you participated in. Those relationships are important because that's how Google's going to trust you. So I would think about those two things, the right content and the right relationships, and making sure Google can see it. And that'll get you most of the way there when it comes to SEO.
Cool. Yeah, that's really helpful. So Dale, is there a book, a podcast, or an app that has been helpful to you, and why?
Well, recently I've been focused on AI marketing tools. So how marketers, content marketers, SEO specialists can use AI tools, because there's literally like 100 new AI tools every day. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. It's pretty insane. So I've been looking at the Marketing AI Institute. Like, they have a podcast that I listen to. And I really enjoy like learning about the developments in AI and how I can use these tools for content marketing and SEO. So following them and their podcast is what I would recommend to stay on top of things.
All right, the Marketing AI Institute podcast. I'll check it out. So how can people get in touch with you, Dale?
So I have a website, an email, a phone number, but the website is fireandspark.com. So all spelled out, A-N-D, and we're showing it now. That's awesome. Technology is amazing.
That's amazing.
It's like it just makes things appear out of nowhere.
Well, we have Emma behind the scenes who's making it all happen.
So this is human controlled.
Yeah, human.
And then my email address is Dale, my name, D-A-L-E, @fireandspark.com. So I love talking about SEO. I love getting on the phone, and I'll give you my opinion about your website and point you in the right direction. So if anybody's interested, happy to talk SEO for your website, your brand, or the content that you're creating, and point you in the right direction.
That's a really generous offer. Thank you. I might take you up on that.
Awesome. Let's do it. We could do it in person.
Oh, great. Yeah. You want to come up to Portland, or I can come down to Boston. So.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna buy you a train ticket, but I was gonna tell you where you could buy a train ticket.
Okay.
Come down here and we could do it live.
No, I speak frequently at Northeastern University, so.
Oh, I can see Northeastern literally behind me out this window.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Dale, thank you for joining us. And it's been such a pleasure. And I know that our listeners will have learned a lot from you and probably will follow up, check out your website or send you an email. So I hope you have a great day. And I hope everybody in PR Maven Nation has a great day too.
Awesome, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the PR Maven Podcast. I invite you to share a review of the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation on Facebook. It's free to join, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you use an Alexa device, use your Alexa app to search the skills and games section to find and enable the PR Maven Podcast Flash Briefing. This will give you access to exclusive content and more PR and marketing advice. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.